Hi, I'm Greg Schaefer. Welcome to the virtual CISO moment. A little while back, I was at the Middle Tennessee chapter of ISACA. They had a conference here in Middle Tennessee, in Franklin, Tennessee, to be specific. And I had a chance to speak with a few folks there. And this episode is those three short discussions. The first person I spoke with, India James, who spoke on the importance of security and digital trust at the conference at each stage of the infrastructure development and operations. Then I had a chance to chat with Ken Smith, the Director of Sales Engineering Enterprise for the Great Lakes at Arctic Wolf. And then finally, Jonathan Weaver, he's a partner at ProNsight Risk and Compliance Consulting Practice. So check it out. I'm at the ISACA conference today in Middle Tennessee, and why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is India James. I'm the principal advisor at James Infrastructure. I am a leader in critical infrastructure security and real estate. My work primarily consists of the nexus of real estate, security, and critical infrastructure.
Oh my goodness. I guess I never really considered like security and real estate. What do you focus on in that area?
Yeah, well, you would have enjoyed my talk today then.
I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to attend
okay.
it.
It was on real estate and cyber, where physical digital risk and data centers meet. And so I spent the presentation covering both real world examples of digital and physical security risk and how it relates to real estate siting and the information that's shared for critical infrastructure. In fact, I opened up the presentation. I was a little hesitant at first as to whether I should do this or not. But I was like, it's available publicly. I think it's worth it. I shared a very real world example of where person identifiable information is available within the public records, easily accessible to anyone with an internet connection.
Yeah.
For those that were participating in an energy infrastructure project and help to ground the individuals in the room about the nature of siting risk and how it could present security risks very early on in the development stage before any infrastructure is ever built.
Oh my gosh, that's really scary. So is this real estate? Is this something that folks in their person should be concerned about as well too?
Everyone
like those.
Should be concerned.
So like let's just say I'm going to go buy a house, and I'm not going to go buy a house right now, so don't contact me, any realtors at this point in time. But I'm not in the market. But let's just say I was going to go buy a house. I mean, what would I need to look out for?
Well, a few things, right? So in this particular instance, I pulled a servitude document from a transmission line project that's proposed in North Louisiana. It's called Southern Spirit. It's a project that is the subsidiary of a larger organizations who I won't name on camera, but they are one of the largest developers of clean energy and transmission infrastructure in the world. And in some areas, in some jurisdictions, part of the siting process for site control and site acquisition to be able to acquire the underlying right-of-ways, easements, and leases for infrastructure requires that those parties that are signing, so your mom, your dad, our loved ones, or even ourselves that have a project that's crossing a property that they may own as a part of the granting process. So in the first page of the document, you'll have your name, right? Greg Schaefer.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, well, Greg, what's your mailing address? And oftentimes for individuals, that's where they live.
Right? Sure.
But then for identification purposes, in some regions, they may also ask the last 4 digits of your social security number.
Okay.
That's recorded, included in the public record. And so now I have you, potentially your spouse, your address, the last 4 digits of your social. I can cross-reference that with information that's available through the data broker site. And now I can call your bank, or I can call your doctor and say, I'd like to know more about Greg's health conditions. And I can verify and authenticate that using the information that was found for free in the public record.
And how would you find out my bank or doctor? Just standard like OSINT stuff? Like I might have posted something online that it's like, I just had my appointment at the VA. Yes, the VA is my doctor. Good luck trying to get stuff from the VA. I can't get stuff from the VA sometimes. It seems like that's scary.
Possibly, right? And it's all a part of the public record itself. And so there's a level of thoughtfulness. So I work with teams today that focus on site control for critical infrastructure. It's part of the work that we do. And so it requires a level of sophistication early on in development process not just about what information is entering into the public record, but how third parties are maintaining the privacy of personally identifiable information, whether or not it can end up into the public space. Oftentimes, these third parties don't have a 24/7 SOC or enterprise security teams, but they still have very sensitive information about overall project design and about those parties that are engaged. And for critical infrastructure in particular, we're at a point where, according to JLL, for example, they foresee $3 trillion in infrastructure development by 2030. That's 100 gigawatts in data centers that they're forecasting.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is, right? But I also recognize that, and it's not a red or blue issue either, folks stand in different places in terms of how they're impacted by infrastructure development, how quickly they like to see it scale, and what the nature of development should look like. And sometimes that results in project opposition. And whether that's leveraging open source data that's available to third parties to oppose projects, or even threats from abroad. Again, all it takes is an internet connection to be able to access some of these details, not only about people, but about us too.
That's scary stuff. So what do you think about the conference today?
Oh gosh, I enjoyed the talk. I think I terrified half of the folks in the
That's
room.
why I don't go to these sometimes.
but they're all security and digital professionals. And I think more than anything, I was able to, when I have these conversations, for me, they're combining aspects of my personal experience and my professional experience that oftentimes they usually don't seem to intersect. But one of the things I enjoy is helping folks understand the full landscape of risk and enterprise risk, and then providing them with the tools to be able to manage that. And that's exactly what I did today, which felt really great. And one of the things I enjoyed were the number of discussions that happened in a room. There were at least multiple people that said either me or someone I love is being impacted right now by this exact issue. What are the things that I should tell them to do? And was I expecting that walking into the room? No, I thought I was going to get questions about security and controls and governance and the policy around it. And I did get those questions, but also got some really heartfelt questions from people that are looking for those that have experience and are trying to navigate these issues real time, and the questions that they should ask and the considerations that they should have in place for both their personal risk, how they're impacted by infrastructure, and also how they can participate in it as well.
So, yeah, it's always if you bring something like to light that has like a personal connection, I think that it really sticks a lot better. So just briefly, there's always a lot of risks in information security. We already talked some about it right now, but right now in the middle of 2026, what do you think is like one of the biggest issues out there today?
Well, I mean, for me, you've heard me talk about sort of the nexus of where I work. I think one of the biggest risks in my work today is making sure that stakeholders understand the path to development for infrastructure, that they're thinking through infrastructure development as a national security issue, that asset owners and operators have the tools available to them and our regulatory stakeholders as well to be able to effectively create policy and governance that enhances security posture, but doesn't add additional checklists for compliance. So it's thoughtful GRC. And that we start to create an environment where we're thinking through greater participation in security and infrastructure development as a whole. Like that's, for me, that's the biggest risk I see today. And here's why too. We talk about development, that's happening because it's largely driven by data centers and emerging technologies, right? Part of the concerns that we also hear from leaders in that space is around workforce development, reskilling versus job. We are changing the nature of how we think about work, which is a huge part of our identity and what we do, and also greatly impacts communities, whether that's our approaches to education, crime, access to resources and controls, environmental impacts. I sit on the board of directors for the Women's Council on Energy and the Environment. So I'm actively thinking through not just system build outs, but overall reliability and the resilience too, right? Whether that's weather-driven risk that presents to infrastructure, and how threat actors could exploit events where there is a combination of weather-driven risk and industrial control systems and operational technology. Like, how do we think through those various layers and ensure that the proper people and controls are in place to address them appropriately? That's where my mind is right now in the middle of 2026.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for coming here in Middle Tennessee and sharing your wisdom with us. And what was your session recorded by any chance?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Well, if it was, I'll have to look for it. If not, would love to have you on the Virtual CISO Moment podcast some point in time. We'll talk about it in an extended session.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Ken Smith. I am the Director of Sales Engineering for Arctic Wolf's Ohio Valley region. Arctic Wolf is a managed security services provider. Our bread and butter is managed detection and response, MDR, really SOC as a service, SIM as a service, and we're stepping in to help organizations that are on all the threat radars, but not enough people, not enough time, not enough money or support to be able to take care of their security programs.
Yeah. And very familiar with you guys. Actually, I just was on a client meeting yesterday that with their Arctic Wolf representatives for their monthly meeting.
Oh, fantastic!
And all stuff. So very familiar with what you're doing. So, and so today at the conference, you were speaking today, right?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yes.
I spent 15 years doing offensive security, so ethical hacking, pen testing, being the bad guy, doing the break-ins, and then helping fix the problems. And so what the workshop was about was really a walkthrough of a live attack in a lab scenario. But the target audience was folks who are on the defensive side and are told very frequently, well, think like an attacker, worst case scenario. But they've never been hands-on with those kinds of tools and never been in a situation where they're trying to find the next step in a breach. And so we stepped through this attack scenario, identifying, oh, that's a vulnerability, and oh, this is a password left somewhere. Well, what can we do with that? And then coming out of that, being able to have a shared language with the attack folks through the MITRE ATT&CK framework.
That sparked a memory in me. I wasn't. In my career, I never really was too much on the nitty gritty side, if you will, about threat hunting and defensive operations. By the time that I had migrated from networking into the more leadership role of the CISO stuff, that's when a lot of this cool stuff really happened. And so I remember being at, I think it was an FSISAC conference. I did a similar workshop, both the attacker and the victim. And I gotta say, that sort of approach to doing a workshop was just hugely impactful with me. You have to remember, I'm talking about a workshop that I did like 15 years ago, and it still strikes with me. So first of all, I'm very upset that I didn't get a chance to attend it yesterday. Did you get feedback from any of the folks, interesting questions or stuff?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions around the attack techniques and then how do I learn more, which is always really encouraging when people who aren't doing it, I like this, point me at something where I can do more of this. So that was really great. And honestly, it was really cool. We started in a smaller room, but there was such interest in all of the workshops really that they moved us all to a larger room about 10 minutes into the session because we were running out of space and standing room only. So it was great. I really the staff was great, and we really had a good time.
So that seems to bode well for folks that there's still a really big security from folks wanting to get in or advance their careers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never a dull moment, right? And it is a very multifaceted space, whether you're on the defensive side, on the attack side, and very easy to float kind of between as you go. I'm a testament to that, working more on the defensive side now. And so it's good. We're always looking for people to break into the industry.
Well, now let's stop on that word passion, because I've used that frequently about one of the most important things if you're wanting to get into this field is that you have a passion, and not necessarily for passion for money, but a passion for having an investigative mindset, I think is a good way to put it. What should people really be focusing on if they actually have that passion, to enhance that passion and then to enhance their career path?
Yeah, so it's funny you should mention that, because it did spark memory of another question from yesterday. It's asked about personality traits, like what kind of people are successful in terms of their personalities in this space, and say the stoking your own curiosity. Like it's an absolute must. Again, defensive, offensive, it doesn't matter. Like you have. I wonder what's next. Well, where does this lead if I pull this thread?
That's that investigative mindset.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. So I would say in terms of folks wanting to demonstrate their passion, anytime you can get hands on with technology, a Raspberry Pi, a spare laptop that you can throw Linux on, or an Ubuntu machine, like we were just talking.
Right,
and again, getting hands on with that, being able to go into an interview and say, when someone asks, well, I appreciate your passion. What are you doing to show that? Oh, I put Ubuntu on a laptop, and now I'm learning Linux, or I've got a home lab where I'm standing up in vulnerable machines and teaching myself how to attack them. Any kind of hands-on technical experience is very, very positive. Another way to do it would be to attend a conference like this and just show up and say, I'm here to learn, and walking around and meeting people and attending sessions.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we're talking about offensive and defensive security, but that's because that the threat environment continues to evolve. From your perspective, what's like really one of the big things that practitioners should be looking out for this year as far as the threat environment goes?
Yeah, well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention AI, right? Of course, and in light of several announcements that were made over the last few weeks around models being used to identify vulnerabilities, potentially exploit vulnerabilities. Yes, it's a buzzword, but it's also very real.
Absolutely.
It's the same arms race. It's attackers are using tools to increase their ability to identify and exploit vulnerabilities. Defenders have to be using those same tools to identify and remove vulnerabilities and remediate them. So definitely AI at the top of the list in terms of things to be looking at and aware of this year for sure.
Outstanding. Well, got any other plans for the rest of the conference? I know that we're kind of like later in the second day, but
yeah, just more good talks. The content's been great. Everybody that's attending has been incredibly helpful, and just enjoying the networking.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for joining us today.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right.
I'm Jonathan Weaver. I'm a partner for ProNsight. So we specialize risk compliance, information security. So handling governance, fractional positions, penetration testing, working with small and medium businesses to kind of help grow awareness for information security. And then also do the president for ISACA Middle Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So been involved with ISACA for 14 years, been on the board for about 9 years now. So just passionate about the information security community and kind of being involved with networking and collaboration and kind of growing awareness for information security. So on top of that, other nonprofit. So I'm a CEO and founder of Reindeer for Hope, which is another nonprofit I serve on as president that helps provide presents to children during the holidays who need financial assistance. So just trying to give back to those families in need and who struggle during the holidays.
That's amazing. First of all, I think it's amazing that you are able to find the time to do all that. But that brings me to one point that I know I had this conversation today. Actually, I don't think it was with you. I think it was with someone else. But the point of like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be really, really good at time management, right?
Yeah, you have to be good at being able to allocate enough time to the right areas in order to make sure that either the pieces you're passionate about, like my nonprofits, or what you're trying to do to pay your mortgage through my business, then it's like you need to allocate your time appropriately in order to make sure that, but also help the nonprofits in a way that make them successful also.
So let's talk a little bit about your business. You talked about risk management, information security consulting. What does your typical client look like?
So we work with home health care, small radiology. We have some clients in mainly it's in the healthcare industry.
Well,
It's
Nashville
healthcare.
being such a big healthcare town. Yeah.
Exactly. And so we do have some in the payment card industry, different things like that we do help out with some of the kind of the SOC 2 reporting and different pieces like that. So it's kind of that's the big client base.
And a typical client more on the smaller side or
Correct. Yeah, we try to work with small, medium businesses. I think that's where the growing need for security exists because, a lot of these big organizations have the budgets. They have the money to be able to spend on your big solutions. So I think where it becomes paramount for these smaller businesses is to have smaller firms like us that don't have huge overhead that can step in and have the experience and the know-how to allow these organizations to understand where risks exist, things they might not be thinking about, how to utilize their products accurately and really understand risk and security so that they can protect their own data.
I was smiling because I'm thinking to myself, it's like, I mean, you and I are playing the exact same space. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what, I could be saying the exact same thing, but I found over the years is a lot of times with SMBs, small, mid-sized businesses, it's difficult to get them to understand the importance of information security beyond just checking the box with compliance with whatever it is they need to do. What's like one of the strategies that you help to maybe not convince the senior leaders of SMBs, but at least make them aware that this is something you really need to focus on, just beyond the check the box stuff, that having proper security and risk management for information is really essential to the survival of your business?
Yeah, so I think it really starts with pulling in the right people to have the right conversations. So I think a lot of organizations we work with, we look at establishing technology committees, small steering committees, pulling people from different parts of the organization so we can start to understand where real risk lies. What are the things that they're seeing? What are the skeletons in the closet? What are the struggles? And I think the biggest thing that in security is that how do you show ROI? Right. We spend all this money on
return
products.
on investment. Yeah.
So how do we show that we're doing that? Well, we show it through how we're able to secure the environment, how we're able to stop these attacks, how we're able to do these things. So if we can work with these SMBs and get them to understand that, hey, risk relies beyond just putting antivirus on a machine. We have to be able to think about it realistically as, okay, how are we capturing this group of people to go out that may go off posting PHI that exist on rogue websites? How do we control risk? How do we control data being placed in places we don't want it to be other than our own network?
You're actually even positioning yourself to educate them not only on how to properly manage information security risk, but how to manage risk in general.
Yeah.
So your ROI can extend even beyond that to help them in other areas of their business.
Yeah, because I think what it becomes important, that's why I was getting back to the whole steering committee, was when you're educating people cross-departmentally on things that they might not understand, when they have a moment of a reflection, when let's say they're treating a patient or they're talking with a clinician or they're doing something in healthcare and they're like, you know what, I had a conversation with the technology committee and in their head, this is all happening. And they're like, that should be a risk, something I need to think about. So that challenges them to come back to the committee and be like, you know what, I was having a conversation with some of our clinicians and they were going out and having conversations on Facebook about patients, or they were going off and doing all these different things. And we can figure out as an organization through this collaborative effort to help turn people into their own kind of risk advisory, because now they can start to see that, wow, information security is more than just slapping antivirus on my laptop and I'm good to go. It's more about recognizing patterns and recognizing things that people shouldn't be doing and really helping secure the intellectual property of the organization in a way that helps protect it.
So the conference today, what's been one of the things that you really have liked about the conference here?
I think it's just a good reminder. I mean, when you think about governance, risk, and compliance, it's really, being a part of this group and networking with the individuals that I've either worked with or and there's also always something to learn. I think the biggest thing from the conference like this is to understand trends and patterns that you might not see. Because, I work in SMB, but if organizations are here speaking about larger things that are happening at a global scale, I can start to understand those patterns and how they might affect my clients from that perspective. So I'm able to take the things that I learned today back and reassess what I've been doing, my approach, my thought process, and make sure that I could do the right things for my clients and by my clients to make sure that they're doing the right things.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to speaking with you for the longer form on the Virtual CISO Moment podcast.
Absolutely.
In a little bit. Actually, depending upon when this one drops in relation to that one, that might already be out there. I'm not really sure. But Jonathan, appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.